Good evening, everyone. Today is Thursday, Feb 22nd, 2024, 6:33 p.m. We're going to begin our board meeting. Mr. Bonanno, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Grippo? Dr. Hopkins? Ms. Inocencio? Mr. Jackson?
Here.
Ms. LaCourte?
Here.
Ms. Maris?
Here.
Mr. Parker? Mr. Shaban? And Ms. Singh?
Here.
You have a quorum.
And can you read us the Open Public Meetings Act, please?
In accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act, Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, Sunshine Law, copies of this public meeting notice were sent to the Courier News, the Home News Tribune, the Star Ledger, Franklin Reporter, Tap Into Franklin Township Clerk Manager, district schools, offices, and associations, PTO presidents, and posted on the district website.
Thank you. And for the record, Mr. Shaban will not be here for confidential, but he will join us at regular. And Dr. Hopkins is en route. He should be here soon. And I see Mr. Parker and Ms. Inocencio walking in. Can I get a motion to move into confidential?
So moved.
Moved by Nancy, second. Seconded by Bill. All in favor?
Aye.
So we'll be adjourning to confidential session. Motion to adjourn to confidential for the purpose of discussing confidential matters including a workers' compensation settlement, a personnel matter, and negotiations. Minutes of the confidential session will be made public when the reason for confidentiality no longer exists. We're adjourned. So good evening, everyone. It's still Thursday, Feb 22nd, 2024, and we're just back from confidential session for the purpose of discussing confidential matters, including a workers' compensation settlement, a personnel matter, and negotiations. Minutes of the confidential session will be made public when the reason for confidentiality no longer exists. Can I request Dr. Hopkins to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Walter, can you please read the mission statement?
Sure. Franklin Township Public School embraces its diversity, fosters excellent educational innovation, and empowers all students to achieve their highest potential.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda with the student representative report first, and then we'll have Bill talk about... No, after?
I would do the OG presentation.
Okay, so in the same order as the report is.
So moved.
Moved by Lori, seconded by Nancy. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. So we have our student who's going to give her report first.
Hello, my name is Vanessa Marino, and I am the Student Government BOE Liaison. Here are some of the things going on at FHS. There will be an information session for 10th and 11th graders interested in the RVCC Advanced Manufacturing Program next year on Tuesday, March 26th at 8:30 a.m. in the library. The Math League is registering students for their season, and their meetings are on Wednesdays after school. The math department is looking for math students to help other students with their math work. The guitar and orchestra programs will be holding a fundraiser at Moe's in Somerset on March 1st. The proceeds of the sales will benefit the guitar ensemble and orchestra competition in Hershey Park on May 10th. The student government is opening registration for the NJASC's Leadership Training Conference that will take place at TCNJ in July. There are only 3 spots available. The student government is continuing fundraising for the NJASC state charity, Hugs for Brady. The class of 2025 will be holding a cookie dough fundraiser to help offset costs of their future senior events. The FHS Med Tech Club will be hosting another guest speaker. Our guests, who are graduate students from Rutgers University School of Pharmacy, will explain the importance of mental health, impact of drugs on neurological well-being, and other ways to relieve stress, in addition to sharing information about Rutgers Pharmacy Program. MedTech members and non-members are welcome to attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa. And now we'll move on to the presentation recognizing the Operation Great Expectations program.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Operation Great Expectations, or OGE, is an academic and behavioral intervention strategy. It is a restorative program that motivates and prepares students for academic and personal success while building resiliency. Reverend Soares was a driving force behind the creation of this program, which began its work at FHS in 2020 after Dr. Ovalle and members of the district and high school staff visited a similar program in Baltimore. Franklin High School Principal Dr. Nicholas Solomon said this about the program: "I believe that having the OGE mentors working with our students has been beneficial because OGE provides not just guidance in the classroom, but also serves as pillars of strength during challenging times. In a nurturing environment created by these mentors, our students not only grow academically, but also develop essential life skills and resilience. This symbiotic relationship between students and mentors fosters a sense of community within our school, creating a foundation for lifelong learning and personal growth. As we witness the positive impact of OGE mentorship on our students, it becomes evident that investing in these relationships is not just beneficial for academic success, but also crucial for shaping well-rounded, confident individuals ready to face the future with resilience and determination. I would now like to invite some of the members of this year's OGE team to say a few words about the program.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carla Beverly, and I'm Program Director for Operation Great Expectations, or what we lovingly call OGE, on behalf of our founder, Reverend Dr. Buster Soares. I am just thrilled, grateful, and honored to be here with my team, or part of my team, and we're so thankful for this recognition. We appreciate the honor of being recognized for the great work that our mentors are doing in the high school. So one of my team, Marco Colazzo, will speak to you, and we have a couple of students who will also speak about their experience with OGE. Thank you so much.
Hello, how you doing? My name is Marco Colazzo, and I am a 2009 graduate of Franklin High School. So it is very nice to be back in the town that I grew up in and, high school that I graduated from. So I'm just going to give you guys a brief little overview of what we do in the room. Sometimes, we're kind of tucked away, so it's good to get this out there. All right, guys, so what is OGE? Operation Great Expectations is a mentoring program for high school students in grades 9 through 12, both male and female. OGE is intended to help its participants reach their potential by building self-esteem, improving academic efforts, and developing valuable life skills. And OGE differs from most mentoring programs because of the young adult mentors. Everybody is around my age. I'm 32 years old. We have a mentor there who's 22 years old. And I'm from Franklin. It's good that she's closer to the kids' age as well, so we can understand them differently than maybe a teacher or an administrator would be able to connect with the student, just because where we come from, and it's very nice. So OGE differs from most mentoring programs because of the young adult mentors, also called urban messengers. We can show students positive behaviors and relate to them while sharing advice and personal experience. All right, guys, next up are goals. So we work with students to increase their GPA and possibility of graduation. Definitely want to see everybody who's in OGE graduate high school and seek some form of postgraduate placement. Work to improve participation in educational, vocational, and employment-related activities for the participants. Increase interest and enrollment in post-graduation education and training. Boost students' confidence and self-esteem to be more productive in class. Improve emotional well-being, and decrease antisocial behavior. So the OGE team includes me and one other full-time mentor, Skylar Hall, who couldn't make it tonight. And we also have one part-time mentor, James Felton. And then you guys met our program director, Carla Beverly, before. We work very close-knit as a team, and we plan a lot of this stuff ourselves, a lot of the activities that we have for the students and the different things that we do with them. So it's good that we have a small team, because I think the kids really get to know us on a more personal level. We see them every day, and it definitely helps. So the power of mentoring, these are just some stats. 79% of people answered yes to does mentoring positively impact your school's overall success. 83 answered yes, and is mentoring helping students start to succeed on their own? And 85% answered yes, does one-on-one mentoring provide a value to your students? All things I think I agree with, and most people would. What we offer is very valuable. It's just kind of a safe place for the kids, and it's good for them to have somewhere they can kind of express themselves and be able to vent sometimes, because kids are going through a lot, even though sometimes we think they are not. So we have an enrollment process within OGE at the high school. So first, a student will be referred to OGE by one of their counselors, somebody from the child's study team, a vice principal, a dean, or the FHS principal himself, Dr. Solomon, using our online referral form. From there, the student will be screened through SAC, which is our student assistants. Student information and referral reasons are shared with SAC to be screened for initial eligibility for OGE. Once that process happens, we do an intro meeting with the student within our OGE room, kind of tell them what the program's about, what is expected of the student as well, and what they can expect from us. From there, we do set goals with every single one of our students, goals that we revisit throughout the year and make sure that they are hitting, and we help them get there as well. Participation is also very important in OGE. The kids are given a consent form, and then they become fully enrolled. They can visit OGE during lunchtime, during the school day, and we can also call them down during non-core classes. We don't want to pull any students out during English or math, something that's very important. And we also have after-school stuff that we do as well. So here's just a stat from OGE, our behavior infractions from marking period 1 versus marking period 2. So 1 to 3 infractions was 34.6% of our students. 0 infractions was 65.4%. Going into marking period 2, we dropped that 1 to 3 infractions from 34.6% to 11.5%. And 88.5% of our students now have 0 infractions, which is something that we definitely pride ourselves on. Thank you. Yeah, there's been multiple occasions where, a student, maybe something happened in the hallway, and instead of maybe doing a confrontation or getting physical with somebody, they've come to our room and they've been allowed to vent. And I think that's very important, because once you talk something out and the emotions get out of the way, you're more clear-headed and you can make better decisions. And that's something that we definitely preach in the room, and we have our kids practice as well. This is also very important, some of the referral reasons why the kids get referred to OGE. School or class attendance, failing 3+ courses, time management and organization, basic skill deficiency and social skills, underachievement, lack of motivation and low self-esteem, mild conduct issues, extreme conduct issues, adjustment issues in need of life skill resources, family conflict, grief or loss, and post-graduation preparation. All things that are very important, and I don't think enough students can talk freely about that stuff, and maybe you wouldn't necessarily trust a teacher that you see a few times a week or an admin. So them being able to come to us and talk about maybe home or friendships, social life, very important, and I think it's something all students should be doing more. Here's just another graph how we decrease the infractions by 70% from marking period 1 to 2. So expectations for OGE participants. Communication, being able to openly communicate with your mentors is very important. If you're honest with us, we can help you out. Participation in what we do, we tell the kids all the time that there are a lot of them in the program. We can't chase them down all the time, so it's very important for them to want to participate in the program, and that means a lot to us too, seeing them come in on their own and take part of our activities and the different things that we do. Cooperation, we always say OGE is a big team, including the students, and that requires cooperation from all of us, and something that I do see in the room happen very often, and it's good to see. Respect is also a big one. Being respectful not just to your fellow adults, but your peers as well. Like, you just need to be respectful in class, in the room, and we do practice that a lot. It is nice to see. Here are some of our OGE activities. So we have after-school workshops, which is really cool. So Skylar, our fellow mentor, had a Galentine's Day last 2 weeks ago, and it was just pretty much self-love, self-care. It was a girls-only meeting. That was really great to see. We're going to be doing something similar with the boys, just working on positive masculinity and how to handle yourself in different social situations. One thing we'll be doing next week is what would you do? So we present the students with different situations that they may find in the world, whether it's racism or discrimination or online bullying, and we see how the students are going to react to a situation like that, kind of on the fly. We also have a really cool podcasting room back in our home office. We recorded some podcasts over the summer and excited to get the students doing more podcasting as well. I think having an open forum and having the students talk like that is really cool because they get to start thinking critically. And when you're talking in front of a mic, sometimes you don't realize how honest you are. So it's really cool to see them open up about different things, what they want to be, where they see themselves. Definitely something we're excited to continue with. All right, testimonials. So first off, we have Anthony Holly, who was my first mentee, so excited to see how far he's come. And he's going to say a little something.
Hello everyone. Like said, hello everyone. My name is Anthony Holly. First, I would like to thank my amazing mentor, Marco Colazzo, for allowing me to represent and speak today. Like up there said, I am only a sophomore, and OGE has been a huge part of my growth and success. I've gotten asked before, what does this organization mean to me? It was pretty difficult to answer, but when I thought about it, what this organization means to me is home. OGE has made me feel like I have a second home, and to someone like me that struggles with social skills in school, it really helps me feel comfortable coming to school. I've had the pleasure of being Marco's first mentee, and he's really made my 9th grade year turn around, because honestly, I wasn't really the brightest student in 9th grade, but his loving and goofy attitude has helped me become comfortable and turn my attitude and mindset around. Right now, I've gotten praise for my growth and maturity, and Marco and OGE has had a great portion in that growth. So all in all, OGE, Operation Great Expectations, is one of the best organizations in Franklin High School, and I will forever be grateful for this program.
Thank you, Ant. And next up, we have Alexa Estevez. She is a junior at Franklin High School, and she was also one of my first mentees as well.
Hi, my name is Alexa Estevez. This is my 3rd year in the program, and I'm now a junior. My freshman year, I was recommended to OGE, and my first mentor, Juliana, made me feel very welcomed and comfortable from the start of it. For someone like me who's always wary, OGE has always felt like a safe place for me, somewhere I can express the way I feel regardless of what's going on. My mentors helped me build a resume and have helped me get 3 jobs. Over the years, my mentors have reminded me about my goal, which is to maintain good grades so that I can get into any of the schools I want. My mentors have helped me stay on track and be on top of everything, considering I'm a 3-season student athlete that also has a job. I recommend this program to anyone who might need an extra layer of support. I'd like to thank my mentors, Ms. Schuyler and Mr. Marco, for guiding me through the toughest year of my high school career.
At this time, I'd like the representatives from OGE to come up and greet the board, get your certificate, and take a picture for me, okay? Thank you.
students, slide in the middle there. Tighten up, everybody, tighten up, tighten up, tighten up, tighten up.
We have 10 minutes before we have to. Barnum, your meeting, you decide.
So we're going to shift a little on the agenda. We have 10 minutes before the auditors come online for their report. And I'll move on to Dr. Raleigh for the superintendent's report.
Sure. Well, I was going to take the opportunity to thank our auditors, but I guess I'll wait until they're giving their report first. So I'm going to move on to the second item I had, and that was the NJNS visit today. So today, our school district hosted a visit that was made by the New Jersey Network of Superintendents. We were visited by a team of about 40 educators representing approximately 10 different public school districts and 2 major universities coming from all parts of New Jersey, and Lehigh was here from Pennsylvania, Lehigh University, some representatives from there. The visiting educators conducted classroom visits, teacher interviews, and student interviews in a sampling of our schools. We had them visit the high school, one of the 2 middle school campuses, and 2 elementary schools. Our biggest takeaways, well, the purpose of the visits were to collect data on school belonging, student engagement, and our equitable classroom practices that we've been working with our staff on implementing. Our biggest takeaways include positive feedback on our work to elevate student voice and on our efforts to support new teachers. So what happens, if I may just elaborate a little bit, these visiting teams are organized in groups of 4 or 5, and they're given look-fors, and very much like educational, in our world we call them educational rounds. These teams visit classrooms, and they have these look-fors in hand, and they collect data based on those look-fors. Some of the look-fors might have been structures in place for cooperative learning, students engaged with each other rather than just listening to the teacher, those kinds of look-fors, if you will. Data's collected, things like at 4 out of 5 classes we visited, we saw this, we saw that. That information is then brought back to this very room here and shared with district administrators, and then highlighted, at which point then we get in what is called a fishbowl, and basically it's a circle of, and in our case there were about 16 of us, to for lack of better terms, chew on the information that we're given. What was perceived to be the strengths, things that we might consider to help move the work a little more forward, and that type of thing. The advantage is twofold. It's great feedback for us from critical friends, and it's great opportunity for them to witness things like equitable classroom practices, cooperative learning, small group instruction, things that they might be working on in their own district so that they can take back some of that information. So I have to say, the visitors were very complimentary of what they saw. Darren Plummer did an amazing job. He's our supervisor of equity. Darren worked with Dan and I to organize the event, and Darren really took the lead. And I have to say, he did an amazing job organizing the event. Getting ready for something like this is no small lift. And he spent a lot of time organizing so that we can get meaningful feedback. If you don't organize well, you don't get feedback, right? So it was well organized. The day went really well. Kudos to the rest of our administrative team. Their contributions in making the day a huge success was evident. And the rich discussion that we had based on the data collected and the feedback we got really, I believe, will allow us to move even further toward making our classrooms a place that we can be proud of and a safe spot for all our kids, where they own their learning and where they are truly participating in moving themselves forward. So I have to say, it was a great day. Kudos to Darren. Dan, you did a great job as well. Dr. Logren obviously had his hands on this as well. And I can only tell you what, the parting comment by most of the educators that were here from other places were envious of your district, and we're envious of the work that's going on in the district, and we look forward to debriefing more in future meetings with you all. So you all should be proud of what we heard today. So other than that, my other thing was going to be on the pre-K center, but you're going to have to wait until I can present on that before I can.
And I actually think the auditors are on now, if you want me to tune them in now. Okay.
We can.
We're going to try. Good evening. Hello.
Hi, good evening.
How you doing?
Hi.
I'm just going to, give me 1 second, I'm going to cast you up there so everybody can see.
So just for everyone, we're now going to have a presentation for our fiscal year 2023 audit presented by Holt, McNally, and Associates.
Okay, you can start. You can start?
Okay, good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We all good? Awesome. Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Ryan Creamer. I'm a principal with Holt, McNally and Associates. I apologize for not being able to make it up there in person. I'm a bit under the weather, but I appreciate that we're allowed to do this remotely. Tonight, I'm going to be going over the 22-23 fiscal year and audit results. In our audit, we issued 4 reports. The first report being the independent auditor's report. This report is on the financial statements as a whole. We're pleased to report an unmodified opinion. This is a clean opinion and the best opinion that we can render. The next report is the independent auditor's report on compliance over major programs. This deals with compliance on state and federally funded expenditures. We also issued an unmodified opinion on this report. The third report is the report on internal controls over financial reporting. We did note one finding related to the financial reporting in the district. And the last report that we are issuing is the auditor's management report. In this report, we noted 2 additional findings, one related to the financial reporting in the Capital Projects Fund, and the other related to student enrollment count, also known as ASSA. All of these findings are repeat findings from the prior year's audit. We discussed these findings in the greater detail Tuesday with the Finance Committee and management. Management will be submitting a corrective action plan for approval in response to these findings. Moving on to the year-end balances of the district ended the year with approximately $21,778,000 in general fund balance. This is a decrease of approximately $3,407,000 from the prior year. which is due in part to a $3.8 million transfer to the Capital Projects Fund to fund the 22-23 school year capital projects. The $21.7 million in general fund balance is made up of various legal reserves as well as assigned and unassigned fund balance. Some of the notable reserves are excess surplus, which ends the year with $1,502,000, capital reserve with $8,476,000, maintenance reserve with $2,035,000, emergency reserve with $1 million. The district also has an unreserved and undesignated fund balance of $3,781,000. In addition to the governmental funds, the district has a food service fund which ends the year with $4,854,000 in fund balance, which is a slight decrease from the prior year. Overall, the district continues to be in a healthy financial position to meet all of its current obligations. I'd once again like to thank the business office and superintendent's office for their cooperation during our audit. Before I conclude, are there any questions or comments from the board regarding the balances or our recommendations?
Yeah, I have a question. The reserves, the 21 million or so, how does that stack up against other districts? Is that typical? Is that about right or over, under?
Yeah, so in the case of your district, I would say above average here. Some of these reserves cap out. You know, your emergency reserve's already capped out. Maintenance reserve is healthy. Your capital reserve, you spent $3.8 million to fund project. You were able to put that back into that capital reserve and a little bit more. So you are replenishing what you're using each year into those reserves. But I would say that your district has pretty healthy reserves in each one of those.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else on the board has a question? Jimmy? Erica? Lori as chair for finance?
Thank you. No questions.
Bill?
No.
Walter?
No questions.
Nancy? Dennis?
No question.
Thank you so much. The board has no questions. We really appreciate your report.
Great. Well, thank you all for your time. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
If I may.
Yes, please.
Thank you, because that was my number one item for my report. And now I want to take the opportunity to thank our auditors as well as Mr. Freed, Mr. Bonanno, and the entire business team for their efforts. They did an excellent job managing through this year's audit. And remember, we had some transition in the business office, so it was no easy lift, finding everything, doing everything you need to do to prepare for an audit. And Steve didn't have a whole lot of time to get prepared for the audit, because as he was walking in, so were the auditors. So kudos to you, Steve. Kudos to the rest of your department. Kudos to you, Mr. Bonanno. We appreciate it. Now, as we move forward, we're going to work to even eliminate those findings through improved processes and procedures, and you will see a corrective action plan on the agenda that the Finance Committee has already discussed in great detail that we believe will have us in even better shape next year. So, thanks.
Thank you. And now we move on to the FTPS Preschool Center presentation by Dr. Raleigh.
Clicker works and the mic is on. That's dangerous. Okay, Franklin Township Public School Pre-K Center, partnering to provide additional opportunities for our youngest warriors. As you know, we have been working very hard to move toward what is commonly referred to as a universal preschool program here in the district. About 7 years ago, we had about 100, Brenda, am I correct? So Dr. Sofield, Director of PPS, is also overseeing this initiative. We had about 100 students enrolled, and as of today, we have about 600, am I correct? Or 731. So we've 6 times grown, I guess, in just a short period of time. But we are at capacity. And what I mean by that, space-wise, we're at capacity. Of course, we want to use our schools. That's a good spot for our kids to go to schools in our schools. So we've made room in our schools to afford 3- and 4-year-olds the opportunity to attend in our neighborhood schools. We've also entered partnerships with private providers, which has offered opportunity for students to have seats as well. And those programs are under our guidance using our curriculum. But we still have the need for more seats. We still have, if we're going to get to a true universal program, the need for a couple hundred more seats for our students. So this is the solution that'll get us, hopefully within a few short years, to a universal pre-K 3 and 4 program. The recommendation tonight is not to approve anything other than giving us the ability, us being our attorneys, the administrators, to giving us the ability to negotiate a multi-year lease for the building we once occupied, the township now owns, called the Middlebush School. The property will be configured to provide preschool services to 3- and 4-year-olds, and it would be the first step in creating a dedicated preschool center here in the district that the township would ultimately own, but we would utilize. Why a dedicated space? As I said, with the addition of the 240 pre-K seats, the preschool center will allow us to offer programming, pre-K programming, that is, to all families who want to send either their 3- or 4-year-old to a full-day pre-kindergarten program. So that will be our first opportunity to do that since we set out to accomplish this 7 years ago. So how do we do that? Well, we get what's called preschool education aid. PEA is what we typically refer to it as. When you're here at a meeting, you're hearing us use the terminology PEA. That's preschool expansion aid. And the state offers that to entice school districts to expand to a universal program. So we can use those funds to lease space. And believe me when I tell you, Dr. Sofield has gone as far as climb fences to try and, well, I shouldn't say that on film, but climb fences to try and find us space for our kids. We've been all throughout town. We've been close in some cases to creating partnerships that would allow us to lease space, and then sometimes those deals have fallen apart. So we then had this opportunity to lease the Middlebush building as we were talking with the township and the board and township liaisons working together. Had this concept of, well, can we lease the space back that we once had and then vacated that the township was going to program at one point. And we all thought, and the township agreed, that it would be a great use for that space and give the township a really good resource. And that is something that we can afford to do using the state preschool grant. So that's why you see that nifty little graphic that I had nothing to do with, although I'd like to take credit for it. Mary did a very lovely job there, where we're using preschool aid to fund the township lease that will give us the additional seats that we need. So, who will benefit? Well, that goes without saying, and I think I've probably said that enough. That's the Middlebush building that I'm referring to. And for those of you that are familiar with that area of town, that would be really kind of over on the corner of the southwest corner of that big municipal complex. What would it look like? Now, this is conceptual. This hasn't been programmed yet. What do I mean by that? I mean that this could all change. It could all change, but what we had to do was to make sure this was a viable option, we had to make sure we can get the number of seats that we needed. So this would, in this configuration, provide us with the number of seats necessary to get us to our goal of offering that universal pre-K 3-4 program. If you counted the classrooms, the blue shaded areas, those are pre-K classrooms, you'd see about 16, which is 240 seats roughly. And then you'll see some smaller spaces. They may very well also become additional spaces, again, once this is fully programmed. But we wanted to at least show you, the board, and you, the public, what could be a result of what we're trying to get accomplished here. So how does the lease get structured? Well, the township, like any other leasor, would be responsible for renovating and preparing the building. The district, who already has some money that has been placed into the grant over the last couple of years that we haven't been able to utilize because we haven't been able to get a partnership in surplus that we could put in escrow and allow the township to start drawing from in order to help support some of those renovations. And then the district can pay within the grant and our current structure of the grant up to about $1 million per year in subsequent years of the lease. How long would the lease be? Well, it will be greater than 5 years, which is why we're here, because in New Jersey, anything that a school board enters that's greater than 5 years needs to have a public hearing and a discussion like we're having. Once the concept's approved, then we can structure a lease greater than 5 years. I would anticipate that this one would likely be closer to the 15, 20-year mark. And that's what we're actually asking for, is the opportunity to negotiate a lease that would look similar to this, about $1 million a year, $3.5 million kind of upfront in escrow as we're waiting to kick things off. That would allow us to open a building by the fall of 2026. So, again, what are our next steps? The Board of Education being asked to approve this concept of a multi-year lease this evening. The Township and District Administrators working, and not that we're trying to push things along, and it can always be canceled, but we've already made a meeting for Monday morning, no pressure. But we've got a meeting set up with our Township Administrator, the attorneys from the Township, and the attorneys from the Board of Ed, so that we can start, if it's approved this evening, talking about some of the more finer details of what the structure of the lease would be. And then, once the lease agreement is finalized, of course, you would have to approve that as well. So you're only approving the concept this evening, giving us the ability and authorization to negotiate. Once the lease is designed and there's a memorandum of some sort of understanding as to what it would look like, then that actual lease would be brought back to you, the board, not in this form, but as we typically approve all contracts, it would be brought back to you for your consideration. And at the same time, it will also have to be brought to the council, because in this case, we become the leasee and they become the leaseor. So, I'm sure you got questions. I'm positive you have questions, and that could be questions from out here or questions here. I'm assuming we probably want to go questions from the board first, is that right?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Singh.
Okay, so we'll start from my left. Walter.
No questions.
Nancy? Dennis?
I just want to applaud.
Can you come to the mic, please?
I just want to applaud that we are moving in the right direction, that I was going to save it at the end, but huge on the foundation of these young ones. If we get a solid foundation starting, once they get to the truly elementary stage, this is a great move.
Thank you. Sammy?
Yeah, I want to echo the doc's response. And I know when we first thought about this, This was just like, okay, can we actually get this done? And now that it's happening, it's really amazing. And I think the part, besides the kids improving, is the township getting $1 million in revenue. I mean, that's huge. That's like, where's it coming from? It's coming from the state. But now we have a township with $1 million more, and our kids are getting more educated at a younger age. It's a win-win-win, to use your phrase. Thanks, Doc.
Jimmy?
Great job by the predecessors, outstanding. Question for you, is the 240 a min in terms of the number of children that will be able to participate? Or is that just the number that the PEA for that grant said?
No, so the 240 is estimated based on 16 classrooms. What's going to happen is, and I can feel the pressure already from my left over here, she's going to be looking to program this and get more space out of it. So I can see maybe some of those smaller spaces being combined into larger spaces once the township begins to work on the real architectural plan. This is, again, conceptual. So the 240 is a rough number. What do we need? Well, at 725, another 250, 300 seats really gets us to what our full universe is, because we're about 500 kids per class. Now, remember, for 3-year-olds, not every 3-year-old is necessarily ready. So even though our kindergarten classes might be, 500 each year, a pre-K3 may never reach 500. A pre-K4 probably has a better chance of reaching its full capacity. But not every parent will choose us either, although the price is right. I mean, it is free, or it's part of our program. But for convenience sake, where someone might work, and there will be, and is as part of our program, or will be for sure by then, aftercare programmed in this space as well. So, but right now, that there may be some obstacles for people, but we're trying to eliminate that, and that's why our rush and push to get the full universal. But that's not to take anything away from the fact that, these folks have been able to push this program from 100 kids 7 years ago to 700 kids now. That's amazing to me, and kudos to you, Brenda, and all the other folks, Dan, and everybody else who's worked to push that forward, and kudos to the board, because that took a great deal of support to get us there. So,
again, outstanding job. Thank you.
Erica?
No questions, but yes, outstanding job. I love it.
Lori?
I have no questions. I just want to applaud the vision that it took. When you think of how long it took to come to this point, it's a fabulous thing for our kids, and thank you very much for sticking with it.
Bill?
I got a broken microphone. One giant step for Franklin. Pardon the pun, on a night that we landed on the moon again, right? This is really a major step for our district. For me, the reason why this is so important is that, and I've mentioned this before, we get our children in the school district at a very early age. And for learning, getting children in at age 3 and 4 develops the structure, the root system, so to speak, like planting a tree, much earlier, much healthier. The second reason is that, well, there's 3 reasons. Now, number 1, I just said. The second reason is we've been trying to keep kids in the district longer and not going to other schools because we have great programs here. When you have children ages 3 and 4 starting their educational career in Franklin, building relationships with teachers, learning about the other schools. I'm sure that Dr. Ravalli will have principals coming in talking to those parents. The chances of those kids staying as our students is much greater. And I guess the other thing is just that it gives Franklin such an edge up on the educational process. Finally, as a former principal, kindergarten is a very difficult year for an elementary school because kids come in with no school experience. So the first couple of weeks or whatever, it's a nightmare. And you know what I mean, Brenda? We used to call it kiss and cry. Anyway, but now when the kids come into our kindergarten, they've been in our district for 2 years. So the life of the new school will be much calmer. The life of that principal will be much calmer. Because the kids, if they go up from 4-year-old to 5-year-old and stay with us, they're going to enter another building, but it's not going to be a new experience. Great job, Dr. Ravalli and team. And I don't know what happened on my mic.
Thank you, Bill. Yes.
So, I know you talked about this in committee, but the money that is coming to us from the state, it would have gone someplace else had this arrangement not happened. So, correct?
Yes. So the purpose of that aid is to encourage districts to grow their programs to universal. So the more we can take advantage of that, yes, the more we bring those state dollars back to the district, and in this case, to the district and the township.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to open comments from the public on the public hearing item only?
Second.
Moved by Nancy, seconded by Sammy. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, comments from the public are now open on public hearing item on multi-year lease agreement only.
Seeing no comments from the public, I move to close the public session.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jimmy. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so can somebody move A1 multi-year lease resolution? Moved by Sammy, seconded by Nancy. Can we have roll call, Brian?
Mr. Grippo?
Yes.
Dr. Hopkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Inocencio? Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. LaCourt?
Yes.
Ms. Maris?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Shabazz?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. And we'll move on to the board president's report. So in my report, it's a long one, so I'll try and be quick. We'll talk about donations. Among the generous donations that the board will accept this evening, there is a donation of 15 bicycles, helmets, baskets, and locks. Robert Wood Johnson Somerset partnered with the global sales team of Own to Build bikes for the children within New Jersey counties. These bicycles and equipment are being distributed to our elementary schools to be used to promote the positive behavior in schools framework or other school initiatives. School Counseling Week. Earlier this month, the district recognized our school counselors during National School Counseling Week, which was Feb 5th to 9th. Our school counselors play a vital role in the success of our students, and the board recognizes in gratitude their expertise and the care which they provide to our students and their families. And now let's talk about our teachers. Radio station Magic 98.3 recently announced the first member of their class of 2024 Teachers Who Make Magic. Our very own Stephen Bennett, special education teacher at Connerly Road School. Mr. Bennett, who is also Connery Road's Teacher of the Year, was nominated by paraprofessional Linda Perry. Congratulations to Mr. Bennett. And now about high school alumni. McAfee teacher Mary Granato, the proud mom of one of our Franklin High School graduates, O.C. Oweri, high school class of 2016, recently let us know that O.C. was up to what? Working at the CBS Sports. This Emmy-winning alumni also produced the graphics and animations that delivered key information during the Super Bowl earlier this month. 2 other alumni will be appearing on television this month on reality shows. Tiffany Irwin, class of 2009, is a contestant on the latest Survivor series, which will air on CBS on Feb 28th. And Claytor Gravesand, class of 2010, is part of this season's cast of the Netflix reality show Love is Blind, which premiered on Feb 14th. And how about the film students at the high school? A nod to our current FHS students as well. Students from the Aspects of Video program will be featured at the Garden State Film Festival this year. This globally recognized event is New Jersey's premier independent film festival and will take place between March 21st and 23rd. On our school website is a link to an interview from the festival featuring Michael Pinnix, PJ Bracco, and instructors of our film program and the student producer of the featured film, Kennedy Smith. I would encourage you all to go and watch it. Let's go to our middle school students. At the middle school level, our students were awarded prizes at a bridge building competition last month. The RHYME program sponsored this event, and 2 of our SGS campus students placed, with Milan Stewart in first place and Fatima Gabde in third place. These students and many others, I'm sure, will be recognized at our special student recognition board meeting in June. Our middle school players' performance of The Little Mermaid Junior enters its final weekend tomorrow, which shows at Sampson G. Smith campus of Franklin Middle School on Feb 23rd, 24th, and 25th. Evening performances are at 7 p.m. and the Sunday show starts at 2 p.m. Ticket information can be found on our website under Community Events. Fundraiser. On the website, you can also find information on fundraisers such as our FHS PTSO, Franklin Athletic Booster Club, March Madness Tricky Tray event coming up on March 23rd. And something about recruitment, and I'll end my report. On our website, in the headline section, is information on 2 district events for aspiring Franklin teachers. They are the Aspiring Teachers Boot Camp on March 5th, which is for all prospective teachers who are finishing or having their teacher certification and want help with resume review and interviewing. And the FTPS Job Fair, which is for all prospective teachers who have their teaching certification and want to pursue a teaching career in our schools. This event will be held on March 26th. At that event, there will also be representatives from EduStaff, the District Substitute Teacher Service, who can provide assistance with substitute teacher certification. And that ends my report. And now we're going to open for comments from the public, 5 minutes per speaker on agenda items only. Can I get a motion? Moved by Nancy?
Second.
Seconded by Dennis. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, comments from the public on agenda items only.
Madam President, since there's no movement in the room, I make a motion to close it.
Okay, motion to close public comments by Dr. Hopkins. Can I get a second? Second by Bill. All in favor? Okay, we have a special letter to be read by Bill today. Oh, Bill chooses to go to the podium.
Get your steps in, it's all good.
I'm switching roles from Board of Ed member to Vice President of the Franklin Chamber of Commerce. The president, Mr. Nicholas DeMeglio, is at Temple University tonight with his daughter, and he asked me to present this officially to the Board of Education and to the public. A letter was sent to Dr. John Ravalli. We are happy to inform you that the Franklin Township Chamber of Commerce has selected you as our honoree this year for our annual business celebration in the category of Educational Leader of the Year. Congratulations. The Chamber and its members appreciate the amazing work you have been doing in Franklin Township over the years. Our mission is to promote and sustain our local business and to stimulate their growth. Our efforts work toward the enhancement and vitality of overall Franklin Township community. There will be a celebration gala and installation of offices on April 17th at the Marigold in Franklin from 6 to 10 p.m. You will be our guest of honor, of course, with a guest. And this will be a wonderful event in your honor. It'll include a cocktail hour, dinner, music, networking, etc. There are other awardees, but the major one is this one. And we couldn't be more proud of you, Dr. Ravalli. Congratulations, you certainly deserve it. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Grippo. Much appreciated. I just want to acknowledge that although I might be the guy standing getting the award, it really is the work of many that deserve the recognition. A lot of folks here in this room and a lot of folks that go to those schools every day. So I certainly will be there for sure, and I appreciate it. It's quite an honor. I'm humbled by it. But I do want to recognize that there are a lot of folks that make things happen around here, and they do a heck of a job, and nothing was finer than to be part of what we saw today and hear the feedback that we got, which was very positive. So thanks. I look forward to it, and tell Mr. DeMeglio I missed him today. But go Owls.
Thank you. And now we're on to committee and liaison reports. We'll start with Walter.
The Personnel and Negotiations Committee met on February 14th. The meeting started at 6:02 p.m. It was virtual. In attendance were myself as chair, Nancy LaCour, Sammy Shaban, Ardaman Singh, Dr. John Ravalli, Brian Bonanno, and Jackie Schneider. The Personnel and Negotiations Committee reviewed and discussed the following items. Personnel Report, February 22nd, 2024, number 8. The Personnel Committee reviewed the Personnel Report for February 22nd, 2024. Appointments include new teachers, paraprofessionals, food service workers. Stipend appointments include intern vice principals, curriculum writing, AP tutorials, ELA leadership team, family engagement nights, SNAP Gap coordinators, and site contacts grant-funded positions and spring athletic positions. FTE negotiations. The Personnel Committee reviewed the FTE BOE negotiation 2024 goals and guidelines and the BOE's proposal number 1 in preparation for our first meeting scheduled for March 5th, 2024. Workers' compensation settlement review. The Personnel Committee reviewed a settlement proposal. The committee has agreed to reduce the authorized request, which appears on the agenda for approval. Good of order. Dr. John Ravalli reviewed 2 personnel issues with the committee, and the meeting ended at 7:29.
Thank you. Jimmy, do you have a report?
The policy committee report. The policy committee met on the 12th of February 2024 virtually at 7:15 p.m. Committee members present: Dr. Dennis Hopkins, committee chair; Mr. William Grippo, alternate committee member; Mr. Jimmy Parker, committee member; Dr. John Ravalli, superintendent; President Ardaman Singh, board president and ex officio committee member. Mariel Clark, Senior Manager Policies Regulations, was Committee Liaison. The meeting began at 7:18 p.m. The committee reviewed and discussed revised policy 3217, use of corporal punishment for the teaching staff. This policy has been revised to align directly with its governing statute, which pertains to when it is appropriate for staff members to use force when dealing with a student. An identical policy for support staff was reviewed and will also appear on the board's agenda for a reading at their February committee meeting. The committee also reviewed revised policy 7460, conservation, sustainability, and green initiatives. This update to the board's current energy conservation policy is more comprehensive and aligns to the work of the district as well as guidance from the Sustainable Jersey for Schools organization. This policy will also appear for a first reading at the board's February meeting. The meeting ended promptly at 7:40 p.m.
Thank you. Nancy?
The Facilities Committee met on Tuesday, February 20th at 6:35 p.m. In attendance was myself, the chair, Walter Jackson, Lori Maris, Artemis Singh, John Ravalli, Brian Bonanno, Stephen Fried, Mark McNamara, and Ryan Ellis. We talked about the update to the Buildings and Grounds building, which is located here. So the expectation is that the building will be ready to be occupied in early spring 2024. And update on BOE Township projects. We just talked about Middlebush Schoolies that Dr. Valley brought up. And the Warriors Health Center. Brian Bonanno updated us on the progress of an agreement between the Board of Ed and the Township for their use of that facility. Zoo Fall Health Construction. Brian Bonanno updated the committee on the progress of the Zoo Fall Health Center project, and the project is likely to go to bid by the end of the school year. The facility use, we discussed the facility use applications appearing on tonight's agenda, and the energy report, which is always the highlight of the meeting. Ryan Ellis provided a colorful report to the committee regarding the status of the Claremont Solar project. And the meeting adjourned promptly at 7:14 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Lori?
The Finance Committee met Tuesday, February 20th by video conference at 6 p.m. In attendance were myself as chair, Mrs. Nancy LaCourte, Mr. Walter Jackson, Mrs. Artemis Singh, Dr. John Ravalli, Mr. Brian Bonanno, and Mr. Stephen Fried. The committee reviewed the supplemental bills list for the month of February. The committee also reviewed the board secretary's report and transfer report for the month of December. Our charter school payments, the district paid $1,663,262 in tuition and $49,749 in transportation for the month of February. This brings the total charter school costs to $14,568,708 for the year to date, and transportation year to date, $298,493. Fiscal year 23 financial auditors, Holly Holt McNally and Associates discussed the fiscal year 23 financial audit and related findings with the Finance Committee members. The summary version of the presentation is that there were 3 audit findings, which is really pretty good for a district of this size, and that the district received an unmodified audit opinion, meaning that the district's financial statements are fairly stated. And unmodified opinion is a clean opinion and is the goal of the district. The meeting ended at 6:40 p.m.
Thank you. Dr. Hawkins?
I guess I'll do curriculum then. On February 12, 2024, we met at 6 p.m. Present was myself, Bill Gripple, Erica Incencio, Alderman Singh, Dr. Daniel Lagarin, Dr. John Valley, and Mr. Armando Gross. The committee reviewed the following proposal for the board consideration. New course proposals. Fashion and Design 2 for students in grades 9 through 12 beginning September 2024. Tomorrow's Teachers for students in grades 11 and 12 beginning September 2024. A course revision proposal. Change Marketing 3 for students in grades 11 and 12 to Marketing 3 Honors beginning September 2024. Acceptance of a history field trip grant from the American Battlefield Trust Education Fund in the amount of $800 to be used towards a Road to Success field trip to Gettysburg, PA. Digital learning software in world languages instructions to be used as a pilot in 2023-2024 for potential use in the 2024-2025 school year. The committee discussed the following items: a world language pilot proposal. The meeting concluded at 6:47 p.m.
Thank you. Any liaison reports? Okay, on to new business.
But before we get there, Madam President, how would you like us to ask questions if I have questions of some of the reports? Should we do that now or later?
I think we can do that now. So
Okay.
any questions on the committee reports? We'll start with you, Sammy.
No, I just want, for facilities in particular, Nancy, you mentioned that the zoo fall is going to be, I guess, later on this year, the proposal. Do they have an expectation of when it will be completed as a total project? If you know or anybody else here knows.
Yeah, so we are, actually also, that's on the radar for Monday's discussion as well, but where are we with that? It looks like we're going to attempt to perhaps bid the two items separate, the building itself, which will be a prefab building, and we're looking to perhaps put that out as soon as April. And then the site work will follow, because there's going to be some additional engineering that needs to get accomplished, and there's some question as to what the township will actually be able to do without having a site contractor do it. So, for example, will they be running the sewer line, the water line, that type of thing. So once that stuff gets clarified, then that site package will go out separately. So the hope is that, and now what I'm hearing too, if the building gets under construction, meaning in that prefabrication plant or wherever they build those things, that we could be looking at completion sometime in the fall of next year, as soon as the fall of next year, which is pretty good because we had always anticipated around August, September, October, and we probably won't make that August, September mark, but we got a shot at making the October, November mark.
When you say fall of next year, you mean fall of this year?
Yes.
Okay.
I talk school years, I apologize. I talk school years, I should be talking calendar years, yes. I'm talking fall of 2024.
Right, and
Yep.
that meaning like open and then soon
That meaning
after operational?
Yes.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yep, that's the goal.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, thank you.
Any questions, Dennis, on any committee reports? Nancy? Walter? Jimmy?
Yes, I had a question for the Finance Committee. The charter school payment, how does that compare versus what we've done last year, and what exactly is the trend?
Dr. Rowley?
Sure. A little clarification on a question, Jimmy. So how does it compare to last year's tuition?
Right. The total of the charter school costs?
Yeah, in total, actually pretty consistent with last year's. It's a slight uptick, but not nearly as much as it had been in future years. And I'm shooting from the hip here in saying that I think the increase from last year, the fiscal year prior to this current fiscal year was in the couple $100,000 range. You probably don't know off the top of your head, Stephen, but, all right, we can certainly get that for, but much less than what it's been, and that's because the enrollment in those schools has stabilized a bit. I can tell you the adjustment, the state forecast for what we needed to pay, and the adjustment was very similar. I think it was that, you probably do know offhand, that was probably about 28,000. So that typically has been much larger. So what the state asked us to budget and what actually was spent was much closer to what reality was than what it had been in previous years. And that's an important number, because if we're asked to budget X and then X isn't realized, then what happens is, you know, and in years past, that could have been $1 million, $1.5 million. That's a lot of extra money that could have gone toward programming that, you know, in December of a school year, midway through the year, it's, you know, become surplus at that point. Exactly. So the tighter forecast has certainly helped, and the growth slowing a bit, I guess, helped as well, because we didn't have such a incremental jump from the previous year to last year. So I'd say more consistent than not.
Thank you.
Eric? Lori? Bill?
Yeah, this was a facilities question that was dealt with last meeting, but we didn't have an opportunity like this, so this is great. John, on the, or Nancy, on the food bank concept of the Pine Grove property, where are we at with that, John, and what do you see as a timeline?
So what the board authorized was for the food bank to simply move forward and do a feasibility study. I've not heard, other than communicating to the food bank that they were approved to enter the property to do a feasibility study, I've not heard any report back from them. I would assume that will probably, our FIS committee, which brings those groups together, will likely hear some type of report from them, at which point I will relay that back to you folks. But we've not heard anything other than, hey, excitement on the part of the food bank to even be able to explore this idea.
Okay, thank you. So we're on to new business now.
Okay, my time to shine. I'd like to move into, for approval, starting R1, right? R1, monthly reports. M1, minutes of board meetings. A2, travel and related expense reimbursement. A3, affirm harassment, intimidation, and bullying decisions. A4, Franklin High School graduation site. A5, Franklin Middle School promotion site. A6, Read Across America Day. A7, donation. A8, revised policy, second reading. A9, new policy, second reading. A10, revised policies, first reading. A11, new policy, first reading. A12, abolish policy. A13, facilities use. A14, principal internship. B1, warrants and payrolls. B2, financial reports. B3, contract approval. B4, change orders. B5, award of RFQ for internet teacher of the deaf. B6, award of RFP for on-site, in-person, high-impact tutoring services. B7, acceptance and adoption of the annual comprehensive financial report and annual management report for the fiscal year ending in June 30th, 2023. B8, approval of the corrective action plans for the findings contained in the auditor's management report, June 30th, 2023. B9, multi-year transportation bid authorization. C1, out-of-district students, 23-24. C2, field trip destinations. C3, field trip applications. C4, FHS and FMS athletic schedules. C5, approve a new course. C6, course revision. C7, world language pilot program. C8, history field trip grant. P1, workers' compensation. P2, personnel report number 8. Is that it?
That's it.
That's it.
So there's a motion for R1, M1, A2 to A14, B1 to B9, C1 to C8, and P1 to P2. Can I get a second, please? Seconded by Nancy. And can I get roll call, please?
Mr. Grippo?
Yes.
Dr. Hopkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Vicente?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Ms. McCoy?
Yes.
Ms. Maris?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Devon?
Yes.
Yes to all, except I'll abstain from A13B. Thank you. And now we're back to comments from the public, 5 minutes per speaker, any topic. Can I get a motion to open, please? Moved by Dr. Hopkins.
Second.
Seconded by Nancy and Lori in unison.
Good evening, Nicole Pride. Just to jog your memory, I am the liaison from the Franklin High School PTSO. There is a parent member within our group who wanted to escalate a concern to the board. As it is her understanding, there is a new law that was passed for the class of 2025 that states that all students who are graduating must fill out a FAFSA. And her concern is the implications as this being a potential barrier for students, particularly those who are not college-bound. And I think that's the general gist of it. So it's what are the implications for our students? From what I've read from the mandate, students have the option to waive it if they go to their guidance counselor. But we want to make sure that that's an easy process.
Any other comments? Okay. Thank you. Anyone else?
Seeing none, I move to close the public session.
Motion to close by Bill, seconded by Dennis. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Dr. Ravalli, would you like to answer, please?
Yeah, so that is hot off the presses, relatively new. The impact, we're not so sure of yet, but I'm sure Dr. Logren, I can see he's on his phone already, he's taking notes feverishly. There is an option for waiving, I do believe, and we certainly wouldn't want to make that cumbersome because we certainly don't want to put any overburden on anybody. So I will ask Dr. Logren to follow up, and then what we will do is make sure that we communicate out to the families, especially the high school families, of the process for doing that and a little more about what this new intention is all about. Because we haven't even gotten anything from the DOE yet, to my knowledge. So.
Can you please use the mic, Dr. Logren? Sorry.
I will happily review and get back to the PTSO first of all. My understanding is it's one of these new regulations to just help a lot of folks know more about what's out there to help them, but I think you are right. There are exceptions to all of these things, and the idea is not to bring a barrier or hurt anybody. So we'll be in touch.
Thank you. And now we're on to good of the order. Let's get started. Mr. Parker.
I do not have anything at this time.
Thank you. Ms. Inocencio.
Nothing.
Ms. Maris.
Thank you, nothing at this time.
Mr. Gruppo.
I am out of words.
Mr. Jackson.
Don't get used to it.
Once again, excellent job with the OGA program at the high school. I think I might actually try to sneak in there and see what they're doing. But speaking of that type of program, the Franklin High School Dance Company and the CTE program actually had a trip earlier this month to New York City. They had 2 master classes at Alvin Ailey Dance Studios. They also toured Lincoln Center and pretty much spent the whole day in New York. And my daughter was someone who participated in that and actually had an absolutely amazing time because it exposed all those kids to being front and center and actually putting themselves in a place they may see themselves in years after they graduate from school. So another excellent program that once again we have here at Franklin High School. So I am beyond proud to be a Franklin Warrior, to be parents of daughters who have went through the school system and excelled. And I want to continue to do everything that I need to do as far as a board member to make sure that we continue to bring light and shine Franklin like we have been doing. In the spirit of Black History Month and my John Coltrane sweatshirt and Mr. Overell Wilson, if you missed him early this evening, he actually had his sack, so I got here just a little late, so I missed it, so I got to make sure next time I get here. But just a quote from Mr. John Coltrane, who was an American jazz saxophonist. Invest yourself in everything you do. There's fun in being serious. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. LaCourte.
I hate going after Walter, but ditto. Hey, Bill, how many words is that?
Dr. Hopkins.
I guess we are embarking on some exciting times, as you could tell with the programs that's going on, with the incentives, with the preschool, which is huge, and also with the class of 24. Exciting. I'm sure that between now and I guess mid-March, the majority of the students would know where they're going to land for college next year. So parents, and with the FAFSA stuff, that's I could see both sides of the coin, that the earlier the parents get exposed to those challenges is great, but those who are not college bound, I could applaud that too, that, you know, they could refocus their energy towards other means. But excited for the class of 2024 to see where they land.
Thank you. Sammy?
Yeah, just real quick. Yeah, really awesome, the OGE stuff that's going on. So I'm going to try to dive into it, so that, you know, if you're going to go, we could potentially go together, because that just sounds like a fantastic program. Piggybacking on one of the things that Walter mentioned as well, there was an amazing basketball tournament here, for anybody that didn't know. I mean, we had the best teams in the country flying in to Franklin. I mean, you had the #1 player in the country. This kid's a phenom, Cooper Flagg. He might be a generational player, and he was dunking on our rims, right? So, awesome program. I was so proud, and I think I saw Walter there too. I mean, we were just beaming with like how Franklin was the center of the basketball universe that night. And so hopefully we can do more and more of those things. Big props to Ken and his team for doing things like that. There's a FISC meeting next Thursday. So 1 week from today. It'll be a 4-hour meeting. It's from 4 to 8 o'clock. Food will be served. It's from a delicious restaurant. Bill had a chance to go there. I'll be bringing down from Patterson. I don't know about the quorum rules for something like that, but all are welcome from the board and all are welcome from the public. It's going to be a 4-hour program because we're going to be discussing a mapping of all the food insecurity within the town. I don't know if this has ever been done before. I don't think it has, where we're going to try to identify all the different resources that exist within Franklin Township to help people that are food insecure, and all the resources that exist, and then finding gaps and then creating plans around those gaps, so that we can once and for all be rid of food insecurity. That's the sort of ultimate dream with that. And finally, just a prayer for peace around the world. A lot of my family is still suffering in Palestine. They're on the border. They're scared for their lives. And so while we're enjoying so much safety and security here, there's many people all around the world that are not. And so just keep those people in your thoughts and prayers, and hopefully the peace will descend upon all of them. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to make an announcement that March 18th, we will be celebrating Somerset County Unsung Heroes. We have 14 high school kids from all over Somerset County. One of our own will also be recognized, and our music department will be taking our students. Caesar, our music head, will be there with the teachers, and he will be showcasing our students there, welcoming all the parents and the kids. So it's a great time to showcase our district once again. It'll be held at Somerset Votech from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So anybody who's available should come and attend. Board members should also come and attend and, see our students being recognized. And with that, I also want to say that tomorrow, Friday, Feb 23rd, is celebrated at a lot of places nationwide as We Wear Black Day in support of our Black brothers and sisters. So make sure that you all wear black. And then we move into March as Women's Recognition Month, and we'll be having a lot of events for that. So we'll be seeing you again in March. With that, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.